Okay, we're now live.
I just got a notification. Get hype.
Guys, I heard they're alive. It's the rattle.
All right, let me just make sure that we're live because I don't want to be stupid here.
It says live at the
top. Oh yeah, we're live. Okay, perfect. So hello everyone. Welcome to the Survivor Maryland New Beginnings episode 5 after show live stream. I don't know what we call it, but it's after the show and it's live.
Wow.
So whatever you want to call it.
Party.
So as you know, my name is Anders. I am the host of Survivor Maryland Generation 2. You might be wondering why I'm wearing a tie and a suit shirt again. It's because I just came from work, okay? Not that I don't think you're special. But enough about me. Let's introduce the special guests, starting with George. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little about yourself, blah, blah, blah.
Right, so I am George. I am the current host, editor, and I was the co-creator for Survivor Michigan. I won't say it's inferior, but it is on your show, so I'll just say, sure, it's a lesser show compared to Survivor Maryland.
I have nothing against Michigan.
I know, but I come on your show. I can't just come and say, the superior show, Survivor
Well,
Michigan.
it's not superior, but it can be equal.
So that's why I said that. But yeah, that's what I am.
Great. Chris, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, I'm Chris. I'm 22 from New Jersey, and I am just a loyal fan of Anders and Survivor Maryland.
Awesome. Alex?
Hi, my name is Alejandro. I am way older than everybody here. I work in housing for NIU as of right now, and I'm super into Survivor Maryland, and I'm friends with Anders as well.
Great. And then Abby?
Hi, my name is Abby Singer. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Not originally, thank God. Where I am a producer on a show called X on the Beach on MTV. I love Survivor Maryland and have strong opinions about it. And Chris and I watch together every week. So I've been saving all my feelings for him for this moment. So I'm ready.
All right, so let's just get into it. Episode 5, let's just talk about the vote. You know, we have the swap. We have 3 new tribes. Mankato loses, and they go to tribal, and it's a 3-2 vote against Thomas. What was your reaction?
He deserved it.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah, he literally stood there, a foot away, could have grabbed that necklace right then, and it was just like, oh no, Dylan, go take it. I'm in trouble, but I believe in you. So it was all his fault.
Honestly, I was tired of Thomas. I couldn't keep him and Dylan straight, honestly. When they joined the same tribe, it was game over for me because I didn't know which one was which. And imagine my surprise at tribal council when there's 2 of them. I mean, I was really surprised. Anyways, so I need one of them to go this round because otherwise I was going to be in trouble next episode when I didn't remember which one's which. But what I did remember about Thomas is from the first episode when he shaded my Queen Meredith and was like, who's that random bitch? I don't care about her. I'm going to stab her in the back. When she was like his friend.
Miranda.
Absolutely.
They're both my queens, to be honest with you. But I'm still not over Meredith going in the first episode. It's fine. Anyways, he was dead to me already. So good riddance. Bye, bitch. Doors that way. I was gonna be throwing fists if Shane or Daniela went home. So I was glad they got their way. I will support those queens in whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting that we're like, Tom's deserved it. But in the situation, there are 3 tribes where ferocity split 2-2-2. What other option did Thomas have in this situation? Like, Dylan's safe. It's going to be him or Swallow.
I think there were 2 big things he could have done. I wouldn't put all the blame on him because I think Dylan did a lot to make the case to, we should actually vote out Thomas because he's close with him. But I think, the 2 big things he could have done is, 1, he should have not been so buddy-buddy with Dylan. Kingpin Dylan was already on everyone's radar, and no one wanted to be, friends with him at that moment. So associating yourself with that guy, I know he's safe, but he's not going to have as much sway with apparently the 2 queens, which they are queens. But
Never calling them what they are.
Sure, of course. And I mean, yeah, so I think he definitely did something wrong there, but then also he just didn't grab the necklace. He had the amazing opportunity. He's walking slowly, like almost hand in hand with Dylan at the challenge to go grab this. And he is in the minority just in terms of just, numbers. And it's just, he could have done a couple of things.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm probably super biased because Thomas was my absolute favorite. And over here, like, what? How the fuck?
You're here.
Hold on. Thomas was my favorite, like, from the beginning. I thought he was really chill. And I'm a very chill person. So I was like, oh, cool. I kind of relate to that. So I feel, first of all, they should have never lost. I think it was really stupid. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually, right, Anders? But I just don't think like he had a lot to do because like, yes, he could have grabbed the necklace. I do agree. But once Dylan kind of like grabbed it, he had no other options except be like, Dylan was pretending like he was the kingpin of the entire tribe. And for the most part, he was until Daniela and Shayna were like, no, like we're done with this bullshit. But Thomas kind of like latched onto the person that he thought was in power. And I don't think it's his fault not knowing that the two girls were going to turn on that. And he was kind of like a victim of circumstances because I think he did the smartest thing. He gravitated towards like the strongest player and the person who was seemingly in power. And then he was just like, okay, well, kind of will ride out. Like, I don't think he had a lot of options at that point because I just don't think he had a lot of options. Like once after not grabbing the necklace, which I do think was a mistake.
I mean, I just feel like Thomas did literally... Like, he didn't do anything right. He didn't, I guess you could say he didn't do all that much wrong either, but just, he was so passive and just went along with everything. Like, why was he so willing to get rid of Swale when that was apparently his #1 ally until this point? But, like, Susan came up to him and was like, oh, hey, they're thinking of voting out Swale. And Thomas was like, oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, but what else is he going to say, though? Because, like, so like, say that he's like, no, I don't want to vote out Swale. Like, I think this is not right. And then Dylan's going to be like,
Susan didn't want it to happen. Whatever, we'll get there later. Anyway.
Yeah. I just,
but then he also made zero effort to talk to the girls as far as we're shown.
That's true.
So
the girls were underestimated, and they used that to their advantage in this round. It was clear to me that that the boys were underestimating them, and they thought the boys' club could get them far enough. I think Thomas's big mistake was going for Swale. I think he should have gone for one of the girls because he could have easily gotten the votes for that. But the fact that he was going for his own little guy, like, I don't know. Like, I guess it'll keep him safe. I mean,
Dylan was very sure that the girls were sticking with it. So I don't know if he had that.
I also think that we haven't really talked about, Swale in terms of like, he would be the other person that would be going. And I actually don't think this is a lot to do with him because I think it was less of him saving himself and more of Shayna and Daniela choosing him and more of like helping him. So I do think it's really all about, those two. The girls are really what propelled this episode forward.
So yeah, George goes off a point I was going to make where it's like Thomas was taken out not necessarily because of his own abilities, lack thereof, whatever, but maybe because more he was linked with Dylan. Do you think if Thomas had shown to be a little more neutral in that sort of I'm in the minority, I'll do whatever you guys want, he would have been safe and Swale would have gone home? Because Dylan was not going home. Regardless if he had the immunity or not, but he wasn't. Yeah,
I don't know because like I think because Dylan still wanted to keep Thomas for the strength, so I think the girls saw him as a threat regardless. And Swale was a lot better at being open. I think definitely what you guys are saying, like Swale's social game was way better. He was reaching out to the girls. He was reaching out to everyone. Like he's been doing that for 5 episodes straight. He's always been talking to everyone, even if he's gonna vote them out. I think Thomas is the kind of player that just gets comfortable in a position and it's like, all right, I'm good, I'm loyal, I don't have to like scramble. And so it's like, nope, I know I'm gonna be fucked at some point, so I'm gonna scramble all the fucking time. So I think Swale would have been the one that stays at the end because the girls will have seen that he's a lot more dynamic, like the way that they're playing, other than Thomas, who's like very just set on his ways.
All right, so we've talked about, Thomas getting voted out. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go before the swap. We're looking at these two tribes. We're looking at ferocity of 6 people and base squad of 9. On ferocity, after Abel was voted out, how do we feel about the 6 left? Do we think that they were more unified? Do we think that it's a grace that they were allowed to be switched away? Like, was Ferocity doomed to fail? Like, were they just gonna deteriorate?
I kind of felt like they were. I mean, I kind of felt from like the minute the tribes were picked, there was a clearly superior tribe, and my suspicions were upheld when that tribe won every single goddamn challenge. And I feel like Ferocity at this point, like because they're in their heads, because of just the nature, they were just on this sinking ship. They needed something fresh in order to give them some chance, because otherwise they were just going to end up killing each other, like in their own little like insular world. I was glad to see it, honestly. I was glad to see some balancing. I think it was needed. I think Ferocity's drama was getting old, and I wanted to meet some other people. I was tired of them arguing every week. I was tired of seeing Susan be the only rational, obvious like queen that there is. Like, I was like, Susan is pulling so much weight right now. Somebody give Susan a fucking break. She needs a day off.
I think it was really weird that from out the gate, Tony, when he picked these tribes, was like, I'm going to pick, a weak tribe and a strong tribe, and then put myself on the weak tribe, and then I'll win out. Like, I don't understand.
No, that's not what his plan was.
He was hoping
strong and weak. The strong one would lose the first challenge, and then he would win out from there.
Oh, gotcha.
And his plan was perfect. The strong tribe won. The issue is he made it too strong, and they won every time, so he couldn't get in it.
Gotcha.
So actually, before we get into more of Base Squad, let's talk about Tony, because he really is an interesting character. The first episode, you meet him, he talks about pussy. He has to go to the bathroom a lot. He does this weird thing with the tribes. What is happening? This episode, he is put on it. Well, he's still on Ferocity, but he's on New Ferocity. And everyone's like, Tony, go get it. Tony, you want to get it? And Tony's like, no, I don't. He admits to being drunk. What is Tony? What is Tony?
So that scene was actually phenomenal because, the entire challenge was like a really just cool concept. Yep. We can get to that later. But I think Faith came up to Tony at one point, and they just stared at each other, and Faith's just like, "Yeah, you can. What if you want to go do it?" And he's like, "I'll think about it." And then he came back to his tribe. He was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna do it." Like it was so just like it's one dimensional. Tony is everything you see is what you get.
I don't know.
Really?
About that.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell me. Enlighten me.
Because when he was talking to Faith, he seemed like he was like actually considering it a little bit, and then when he came back to his tribe, it was like, oh, what did you and Faith talk about? Nothing. And then he just gets away with it because he's Tony. So I feel like, and that's why he was underestimated last episode too, or whenever Miranda went home.
2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago, sorry. Because people just don't expect him to be thinking about things. People don't expect him to be thinking about his position in the game, but he is. I think he is. I don't know. I think people are sleeping on Tony.
I think he might be just estimated. I don't know if he's being I feel like he, in a similar light of like how Alex P was like the guy who was very estimated as this one type of player and still made it very far. Like, I feel like that is what Tony is we know what he's doing. We know who he is and that he's going to be going to the bathroom and drinking a lot of alcohol, and he can put him in this box. If he can escape that box, yeah, I think he'll do great, but I don't know. I'm just excited to still see him on the screen.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Tony was the highlight of the first challenge. Every time that it cut to Tony sitting alone,
Just
I
sitting.
was dead all over again. And Chris can attest to this because I mentioned it every single time. I was like, Tony is the legend that we don't deserve. And then he showed up and he fucked up his whole plan, and he put himself in a stupid position. And for some reason, even though I'm like, why aren't y'all just voting Tony out? Because he just sits around doing who knows really what. Somehow he's managed to stay in through multiple rounds, now of elimination and being in a bad position. And I gotta respect Tony for that. I have no idea what he's doing when he's not drunk at challenges, but I also do respect a guy who shows up drunk to every single challenge. I mean, at least you know what you're gonna get from him, at least his tribe knows what to expect from Tony. But I hope we don't see him go anytime soon for entertainment value alone.
Right.
So, okay, let's talk about Base Squad before the swap. So what we knew about Base Squad, Dylan, Alex, Kevel. They were shown to be a trio. They've looked for an idol. Dylan finds the idol. And now they're their little group. And then we finally have the formation. It's been boiling for several episodes, but we finally have it. of, as they're known, Suicide Squad. Why were they called this? Because Don really likes DC stuff, and they want to lose challenges to get rid of people. So you've got the three queens of Taylor, Daniela, Shayna, and then Dawn. The fourth queen.
And then Dawn.
So
Dawn.
when you guys see the formation of Suicide Squad as like a foil to Dylan's group, how do you feel? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? How well are they going to do? Obviously, we see this episode a success.
This is absolutely completely different alliances. One that is very, very confident and very just like, we're going to hold the idol, a fake idol and an idol, and just look at the camera and call you out. And like, I don't think it was that cool, but it still was something. It was, I don't know. But then the other alliance, they're almost very like, most of them are quiet, more shy people that have kind of bonded over that, especially the three queens, of course. And they're more of like a simple group that it's always interesting seeing them have conversations in their individual, like, one-on-one conversations, because it feels like they are very, their strategy is just like, we had this amazing idea, right? And the idea was, we're going to vote out this person, as if this was like some weird concept that we're going to make an alliance to vote someone off. But it's really endearing, and I liked that. So it was a breath of fresh air compared to the other alliance. Not that I'm saying, that other alliance doesn't have something going for it, but it was very sharp contrast, I think.
My notes say Queen Taylor's showing she is strategic queen. I think that sums up my opinions on that pretty well.
Yeah. The first conversation between Daniela, Taylor, and Shayna was so delightfully painful to watch. I don't know. I just feel like the three of their minds coming together is too powerful for any of us to withstand. And then Don just like is in love with Shayna, and it just works out.
I just think you're cute. We should be an alliance. I'm gonna put it out there.
I thought that him and Kevin were supposed to be like best friends. Wasn't that a thing?
I know, that was very confusing.
Where did Kevin
go? So yeah, Kevel is best friends with Dawn. They still are, but Kevel's clearly in line with Dylan. Do we think that if Baseball had gone to a vote, do we think that Kevel would have stayed with Dylan? Do we think he would have flipped? Where do we stand on Kevel? Obviously, he hasn't told us anything, but we know that he's on both sides.
I really like Kevel. He's like a chill dude. He's like in the back. I feel like he's gonna have a really important part eventually. Or if they had lost, he had like probably one of the most critical parts, because he was in both alliances. Everyone trusts him. He's just chill. No one knows that he's in every alliance, as far as we know. So I just think he's really cool, and like he's getting away with it. Like, he's literally like in everything. He probably knows everything about everyone, and everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, Kevel's cool." So I think it's awesome.
Now there are two people who aren't included in either of those alliances. The ghost of a person, Knock Me, and then
I am the number one Knock Me stan. I love it.
Number one
so
and only stan.
I saw the funniest comment about it today, which is like, Knock Me. What I know about him is he says he's really loud, and yet we've never heard anything from him or seen him talk to anyone.
But every time we get something from him, it is absolute gold. Him in the blindfolded challenge was amazing. I loved his strategy of misguiding the other people. And then he wasn't afraid to be the first person to call someone out in this challenge and step forward with Michael. I don't know. I just really want more Knock Me content.
I want more Michael content, and we got it this episode, because I saw from something I always like to do when I'm looking at these first confessionals and these first few episodes is like, okay, how do these people speak? I know it's weird, but if someone can speak just like kind or very just fluently in a way that can like soothe people into liking them, then I feel like they might go far. Michael kind of has that way of speaking that seems like he's a good storyteller. He talks to us well, but I've really never seen him talk to other people. And so now that we're seeing more of Michael, I really do think that he was he had conversations. What was it with he wanted to save Swale, and it was one of those things where he was just like, he said something like, oh, Swale was like, oh, but I care about him. And he's like, but don't. Like, it was like, yeah, all right, Michael, yeah, like, we have some stuff from you. So I want to see more from him, because I really feel like he can actually have a prominent role.
Yeah, definitely a breakout episode.
We go to the challenge, and the first part is rank your tribe. And I mean, it's pretty clear. I feel like it's obvious to everyone why Tony is the bottom of Ferocity and why Michael is the bottom of Base Squad.
My favorite moment of Tony's in this episode was when he raised his hand for 6 before he even said his name.
Oh, I mean, like, it's Tony!
Yeah.
He's very self-aware.
Yeah. He said "fuck yeah" after he got 11 votes to go out in the first day. Like,
granted, he says "fuck yeah" after a lot of things, but yes,
he says "fuck yeah," Denmark. He has so many.
Denmark.
Anyway, sorry.
So how do we feel about these rankings? Like, was there anyone that surprised you? They were lower than you thought, higher than you thought. How did you feel about ranking as a system of swap? Because obviously this has happened before in like Gabon.
Mm-hmm.
I could not believe that all my queens were ranked so low on Base Squad, and I was so furious at everybody underestimating them. Taylor, Shayna, Daniela were all very low ranked, and I don't know anything that's been more wrong in my life.
Well, to be fair, Shayna put herself, I think, either 8th or 9th.
Shayna underestimates herself too. She doesn't realize what power she carries.
I also feel like Base Squad ranked people by challenge strength, just looking at the fact that Dylan and Don, despite being in different alliances, were like the top, and then it was kind of like the strength in challenges, and Ferocity was just like a mess, as per usual. I love the way that you did the swap though, because I thought it was really unique, and I hadn't seen it like in any of the other seasons before, like obviously Gabon, and it was still like a twist from that. So I just thought it was really, really cool picking out the numbers and just seeing like the rankings. And I'm curious to see if those rankings actually play anything on anyone being like, oh, am I like at this spot? And am I going to like flip or stuff? So I think it's interesting, and it has a lot of interesting dynamics.
Yeah, especially when you have like Swale and Susan, who are pretty close, each ranked on different sides of the spectrum. And so like you have within these like smaller alliances, you know, this disparity between the entire tribe seeing how they are. And that might also be like, you know, one alliance thinking that this person in the other alliance is a big threat, maybe Susan. But yeah, I don't know. That's interesting to have that. I honestly think it doesn't maybe have a lot to do like going forward with other people's perceptions of other people, but maybe it will have a lot to do with their perceptions of themselves, of seeing like, oh shoot, like I am a threat, or oh shoot, this person is not a threat and I don't need to worry about them. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think maybe the only impact it had was giving Michael a wake-up call and being like, okay, I have to start playing this game.
Definitely.
So I think something else to keep in mind with the rankings is that the players were aware that it would all be tallied and summarized, and that they don't necessarily want to be the top. I think a lot of players thought, okay, being number one might be a bad thing. Like, there could be players who purposely ranked themselves lower to become less of a threat.
Susan put herself at number
Susan
one.
and Don both put themselves as number one. I did see that.
You know, certain players were like, "Oh, well, I'm the most important." Of course. But then you have other players who are like overthinking it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, as anyone who's ever thought about Survivor, played an online game, or hosted it, like, there's always going to be people who are overthinking, like, what is the meta purpose of this? How do I game it? And then it's like, all right, you put yourself 9th. Congrats, you're 9th. And so the actual swap of it, you know, they pick it out of a bag. All the numbers were together. There could have been a tribe of all Base Squad. There was really nothing determining whether you'd have this many of that or whatever. So the fact it became 3 Base Squad, 2 Ferocity on every single tribe is, I mean, I don't know the exact math for it because I'm not a nerd, but like it's pretty crazy. And then the duos you have of Ferocity are Emily and Faith, Thomas Swale, and of course the tightest duo of all, Tony and Susan.
Of course.
So let's talk about these 3 tribes. So let's talk about New Base Squad, which is, to remind everyone, Dawn, Taylor, Knock Me, Faith, and Emily. So what do we think about this tribe? What do we think is going to happen? How do we feel about it? Expands.
Knock Me's winning.
It's winning. I think definitely that it was very important that Emily and Faith were going to be having to be put together. They are two who, unlike a lot of other like players right now, you know, don't have connections with a lot of other people from past relationships, just like, you know, outside the game. And so, you know, this is something that they probably definitely needed. And they were probably put on a tribe that they could maybe do something with it. A lot of these like duos, like the twos that, you know, got put on, minority tribes, it was just like really it's the best possible situation for them, except for maybe Susan.
But
I feel
Susan's
like-
so
oh.
good, she'll be fine. I feel like Susan. I kind of felt bad for Susan. She got put at number 1 because I think she was really powerful, and I was like, maybe people don't realize how good Susan's doing right now. I'm like, well, now we all know. But I feel like she's going to be fine no matter what, because I feel like she's very good at the social game, and that if nobody wants to vote Susan out.
Well, going back to base squad, just so like we can wrap it up. I still love you, Abby. Sorry,
It's
but
fine, whatever.
I feel like there's 2 options in base squad. Either Nakvi is like the swing between the type pairs of like Emily and Faith, and then Taylor and Dawn, or Dawn continues with this strategy of like getting all the pretty girls to align with Nakvi goes first. So.
Yeah, I mean, we already saw Taylor go to Emily and Faith and be like, "Hey, so us 3 are good, right?" So a strategic mastermind Taylor is already on the ball, making those connections.
Strategy
And I feel like
Taylor.
Emily is one of the like most naturally charismatic people in this game, and she was able to recover from a bad situation with the Miranda vote very well. And then we saw that on Susan's paper that. Emily was her like second most valued behind Swale, like over Thomas, which surprised me. So I don't know. I think Emily's going to be able to swing something in that both Emily and Faith will be fine. And it's not looking good for Knock Me, but we'll see.
You don't know. You don't know anything about Knock Me. You literally don't know anything.
We don't.
I don't, but I support him.
Stop it, please. But I do agree with you that Emily's like more charming. I feel like if one of the girls, like Faith, I feel like it's in more danger than Emily. If it went that way, I don't know. It's hard because also like Dawn is probably their strongest competitor. So like, are they gonna go for Dawn? And they have like this thing with Taylor. So I do think Nakmi screwed after you said that.
Although I will say, in terms of like Dawn being like, oh, he's like a really good like challenge competitor or something like that. I think we have reached a stage now in the game where that might not be as important. You're thinking more about alliances and stuff like that. So he could still be in the chopping block, but in terms of Nakmi, no clue.
So I think there's. Sorry,
I feel
go
like
ahead.
Don like gets himself into trouble sometimes by talking to too many people and being too friendly with everyone. Like it kind of started to seem like it was maybe gonna go that way, to me at least, in his tribe. Sorry when my dog's complaining. And I like wouldn't be surprised if he does that to himself again, where he like tries to be friends with everybody and puts a target on his own back in the process. But that's like really the only other thing I can see happening there.
So there is another theory on that tribe. You know, you have these 2 type pairs. You have Emily and Faith, as I've said, and then you have Taylor and Dawn, who have talked several times. And it is a base squad majority. So is it tempting, even if maybe they do trust Emily and Faith, for it to go, let's go base squad first and then blah, blah, blah? Like, where do we really, because, you know, Naki really is just there, but he's still a vote.
Yeah. And he's a very neutral party, too, so.
Yeah, if once we figure out the relationship between him and Don and Taylor, then that's when we'll know.
I mean, they said that they had none, so, or at least they said that to Emily and Faith. But yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem to be reaching out to too many people. No one's mentioned him in conversation.
So then Taylor might be the one then that we should be watching here, because we did see that one, situation where she is talking to the girls. So she might be the interesting one to check out.
Taylor, Queen of Base Squad.
Queen, yep. Queen.
I'm a strategic mastermind. Don't put it
That was the best part.
It sounded like she didn't even believe it herself. She was just like, I
believe it.
Mastermind. Yeah. Well,
nah, Daniela was the mastermind behind that alliance. That's my belief.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. No, absolutely agree.
All right.
You can take the credit, though.
Are you saying that Taylor Queen isn't perfect? How dare you?
Perfect.
We have been rooting for Taylor since like minute 1, second 1. So yeah,
she's really exceeded my expectations. I was like, I don't know how much Taylor I'm gonna get, but I'm getting a good Taylor scene in almost every episode. I'm like, this is a queen who delivers. Like I picked a choice, and now we've committed to it, and it's like definitely paid off.
Honestly, I think everyone was robbed of some queenness when they kept winning. Because they had lost, you would have seen way more Taylor and Shayna. assuming Taylor didn't go in the first 2 episodes.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. So let's move on to the new Ferocity, which didn't lose a challenge.
Wow, it took the creation of a new tribe for them not to.
It took someone that isn't Face Squad to lose out. So the new Ferocity is Susan, Tony, Alex, Kevel, and Michael. So here we have Kevel and Alex still together. We have Michael, and then we have Susan, and then we have Tony. And what we got from that tribe was Tony being like, of all the Ferocity members, it had to be Susan. So where is this tribe? I think this tribe might be the most, obviously, because they didn't go to tribal, and it's not a knock me tribe. This one might be the most confusing of where do people stand? What is going to happen?
Well, I stand by what I said earlier. I think Susan can make the most out of any situation, and her social game is very good. And I think she will play her way to the top of that tribe fast. I think Tony's pretty friggin' screwed, though.
I don't think so. Like, I honestly think Susan's best move will have been to lose that challenge and get the necklace herself, because she knows that Michael and Soleil are roommates and are friends, because she's also friends with Michael, I believe, right? Right. And then Tony, I feel like Tony's just so straight up that he would have stuck with her just to survive, and she could have gotten some numbers on her side and saved Soleil and Thomas and continue to build up on that. So I think that was a huge mistake by Susan, because I do think in that tribe, it's going to be her, Michael, and possibly Tony or someone else. But I don't think she's Michael's definitely going to be with her, because he knows now that he's number 9. Yeah. He has the privileged relationship with her. And then Tony is just super straight up. So I don't see him making any big connections with Alex and Kevel out of all people, particularly, I guess.
I think that we might have a weird situation where Susan might get the numbers with Michael by bringing him over, but then Tony doesn't want those numbers, and so he just leaves her. So we might have a double flip going on in this situation. So that's what's really interesting is the Michael and Susan relationship. We got a good 8 minutes of this episode where you just hear Michael saying, I trust you. I really trust you. Listen to me. I have no one else. It's you and me till the end. That is it. I really. So
hand over to Thomas. Just
yeah, Thomas is yeah. So that's the relationship to watch. I think it's Tony who's going to really decide what happens, because he could just loose cannon double flip to the other side, even though he has the numbers. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that this might be a bit of a questionable thing for Susan, because she was like, oh yeah, I got Tony. We're tight. We're on the same original tribe, and they did go to Rocks together, or almost Rocks together. But I don't know. I'm afraid Susan might overestimate her relationship with Tony.
So what as much as Susan is a social player, so is Alex. I think we've seen ample amount of Alex has a lot of influence on her on Face Squad, and there was no one who was ever anti-Alex. It was always Dylan sucks, and by correlation, so does Alex, and I guess Kevel. So Alex is a social person. How do we feel about her on this tribe, her chances, and then Kevel as well? Despite him being a little quieter, we've seen he's been in the 2 major alliances. He has his fingers everywhere. Where do we think about him? Is it going to be as simple as Tony is the flip vote, or do we think there's more to a 5-person tribe?
I think that Alex and Kevel aren't going to break up. I think that that's a pretty solid pair, and I think that their problem was making that too obvious during the challenge, because it seemed like they were talking individually and then bringing that to the rest of the group of 5, and to me that raised red flags. So I don't know. I feel like Alex is a little too straightforward with her gameplay. And she's very, I don't know, upfront about what she's doing, and that came across in the challenge. Whereas Susan was sort of holding her cards close to her chest a little more, and that's why I think Susan will have the upper hand in this situation.
Yeah, there's
actually
also.
Let's expound on the Susan thing. So during the challenge, you hear Susan. They're like, oh, what are the alliances? Who's close to Soleil? Blah, blah, blah. You hear Dylan be like, why aren't they saying anything? And Susan the whole time's like, well, we were all unanimous, and it's hard to say, and I don't know. Do we think that Susan is just, oblivious, or do we think it's a choice by her? Where do we stand on, is she trying to play it a certain way, or does she actually believe that? Because we've also heard Abel and other people call her neutral.
I do think that a big difference in how the old tribes worked is because one tribe went so many times to tribal council, they understand that now swapping in, they should probably be more, close, to themselves with their information. Whereas the other tribe, they've been pretty comfortable in their set ways and where they are, that maybe they are less understanding of showing where they are as a tribe. And so maybe that's what's going on. I definitely think that Susan was a little bit kind of lying there in terms of what she was letting on.
Yeah, they were like, hey, do you want us to vote out your number one ally? Susan was like, heck no. But she couldn't say that out loud. So she was like, yeah, I don't think that I could convince Thomas to do that, but if you want me to talk to him, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's smart enough to realize like everyone is outnumbered regardless of whether there's opportunities or not. And kind of like, look what happened to Miranda. They were super upfront about the boat. Shit got flipped. They got screwed. And then Miranda and Abel left. So I think she learned from that and she's just playing. Really, I don't know if it's intelligent because I think if someone slips and says something, then she's going to look shady as hell. But I do think she's playing it up a lot.
All right, let's talk about the final tribe, the tribe that lost, the tribe that's lost a member, Mankato, a tribe name that I came up with. Is it stupid? Not as dumb as Bay Squad or CrossFit. So,
True.
For anyone who thinks it's a dumb name, it's not the dumbest, and I'll take that.
Yeah.
So on this tribe, we have Dylan, Swale, Shayna, Daniela, and Thomas Rip. So, Thomas is gone. You have one Ferocity member, Swale, who has somehow never died, despite always being the target. And then the 3 base squatters. Where do we think this tribe is going now? What are we thinking about these players?
God. I mean, my first thing I wrote after the new tribes were formed was 2 out of 3 queens are on Mankato, so I guess I stand. And that's pretty much still where I am. Like, I guess I stand then. I think that if they were to go to tribal again, then I think Shayna and Daniela are united enough to get what they want in the end. I don't know how, because 4 people, but that's not my job to figure out. It's their job. Yeah.
There is a lot going on with this tribe if they ever go to tribal council again. You got the idol, you got Swale being the last member of, another tribe that is on this new tribe. There's a lot to think about. What I think that's really interesting is just Swale's game in general, because he keeps narrowly escaping all these votes. I just want to know how, because I will say this. I do think that a lot of it is him. He's very, outgoing in terms of, getting plans together and stuff like that. But I really feel like he's really out in the open with his game. Like, he's very obvious about, I feel like he's got this thing stuck in his head about being a survivor character. You know what I mean? Like, even in confessionals, he's like, this is my great underdog story. It's going to take a blind side to get rid of me. And he's talking about all these things. And then he tells these things to other people as well. Well, we had a giant conversation with Dylan that is, has a bunch of fades in and out because that's how long it was, where he's just explaining everything. And I feel like he wants to tell people about his survivor character. And so I don't know. I don't know how he's getting this far with this, but I don't know. It seems that he is more of a pawn in other people's plans, like Shayna and Daniela, than anything else. But I don't know how far that can get him if Dylan has an idol next week and they go to tribal. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
But with the idol, wouldn't Dylan? I mean, I think in my perspective, Dylan's gonna want to get rid of one of the girls because they were the ones that fucked him over. So if I was Dylan, I would use the idol to get one of the girls and just get close to Swale so that later I can still have a number with me. At least that seems logical to me, but I'm also this tribe, by the way, was my favorite out of all of them, and I was like, they cannot lose. It has 4 of my favorite 6 players, and then they lost, so that was fucking annoying.
I think they're gonna keep losing too. Looking at the tribes,
look at the tribe.
Poor Swale.
Swale is doomed.
Can't catch a break.
But I think that Swale, he was very upfront about his game with Dylan. But when Shayna talked about him, he was like, Shayna said, oh yeah, Swale doesn't believe in alliances. So I think he might change his story based on who he's talking to, which I think is part of why he's succeeding so well. But I do agree with Alejandro that I think that at Tribal Council, it seemed like Swale was almost already trying to start a relationship with Dylan, saying like, oh yeah, so after this Tribal Council, Dylan will be able to trust that I've always been honest with him. So it almost seems like it's already in Swale's head that after this vote, he's going to like flip to Dylan, and I wouldn't be surprised to do that, and I'm scared for our queens, Shayna and Danielle.
But we did see in this episode, Dylan, the only thing Dylan did was like, yeah, we're voting you out, Swale, but tell me information. So Swale info dumped, and then Dylan's like, not enough.
He hates him.
Bye.
That's very interesting that he would be like, oh yeah, you're going, and then he'll turn around and be like, okay, let me give you everything I know about everything.
Honestly, yeah, now that I think about it, I feel like Daniela and Swale are good enough that they could convince Dylan that they're voting out Shayna and then just blindside.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be good.
That's what I think is going to happen. Is I think the girls will have all the power, and that people are going to try to play them against each other, but I think they're going to have each other's back at the end of the day, so they'll be able to sort of tell the boys whatever they want and figure it out from there.
This seems more of what you want to happen.
I'm always right, so what I want to happen always happens.
All right, so my dream scenario: Meredith comes back and takes over Nakami's spot. She was there the whole time. She wins.
Oh my God.
I think the girls are really smart. I think people don't give them a fair enough chance. I think they are smart queens, and they can think their way through this, and that the other two are not smart enough to keep up with them.
All right, next episode. So Meredith, Miranda, Abel, and Thomi, they all come back as a new tribe. What do we think about them?
Jumping the shark is what.
Is that true?
No.
Is that true? Are we getting insider information?
I was like,
Okay.
Is Meredith coming back?
No. Meredith is coming back.
Meredith.
We talked about the three tribes. Let's talk about the challenge, Greedy, which is the title of the episode. How do we feel about it? Because I know I liked the challenge, and everyone else in crew hated it. When I came up with the idea, they thought it was a terrible idea, and they can shut up. I was right for once.
This was fantastic. This was like super interesting, like prisoner's dilemma type of a thing. And what's really good is the timing of it too, is because you are just getting used to these new tribes, and now they have to kind of intermingle again already and like talk with other people and other tribes to force them to go, get that necklace. It was a really cool concept. It's funny that you got the name of the episode, so congrats to the only host to steal the episode title. Congrats. But no, I thought it was great.
No, I agree. I think it was very, very interesting and unique. Like, it was not what anyone was expecting, so everyone was completely out of the loop. Like George was saying, like, they barely know each other. They have no idea what they're doing. They have to convince each other. Like, it was so, and the way that you guys even filmed it and the way you edited it was really, really interesting, and it was really tense. So I thought it was probably one of my favorite challenges. It was awesome. I do think the strategy that they all did was dumb, because I think the best thing is just have all three tribes go to tribal so that everyone stays with the same numbers. But that's also just me. But it was great.
Yeah, it's this weird like dilemma. So you're basically thinking like, okay, yeah, I definitely don't want to send this tribe to tribal council, but I will go if I don't do anything about it. But I think something that I wrote down that was really interesting was a conversation that was had where basically, I believe it was, Daniela was talking about it. She's just like, oh, well, what we have to do is just like at the end, we'll just grab it if we need to, because, we don't want to send everybody to tribal council, but that's what everybody's thinking. And you really have to think of like, okay, everyone is thinking the exact same thing as me, because not everyone is, being, stupid. Like maybe, I don't know, Tony is just out there standing still doing nothing, but I think
he's peeing.
He's peeing. He's just going off peeing, and, he's not even part of his challenge.
Give him a break. He's drunk.
Sure, he's
Tony's not a part of this challenge. Tony was the star of this challenge.
Tony was there, and he was interacting.
Tony got asked every single time by everyone, "Go take it."
I mean, the first thing I wrote down when the challenge happened was prediction: Tony snatches the necklace immediately, and I think that's probably what everyone was thinking.
I never thought for a second.
Away with it.
No way. I think maybe it was maybe in his best interest to possibly grab that, but I thought there's no way that this man is gonna go do that. He is too just like out there and doesn't like care what's going on to make that kind of move. Like I don't think
he's too contrary to do what everybody wanted him to
absolutely.
do. I think the second everyone was like, "Well, are you going to do it, Tony?" He's like, "Well, I'm not doing what you guys want me to do. I'm going to not do it now."
I think he would sooner piss on the actual stump there that it was hanging on than actually grab it.
The bocce ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting idea about Tony. Like, when we were talking earlier about Taylor and Shayna and Daniela being underestimated, is Tony underestimated in this game?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Abby, you said no.
I agree with what George said earlier, that he was thoroughly estimated.
He's just estimated. I think if he in the future shows other things, I think then he'll become underestimated because he starts playing. But I think at this moment, I think he is just so caught up in the character of himself that he has no time to deal with these peasants. I think he is more about putting on this show of the guy who goes to the bathroom all the time and drinks and does whatever he wants to do and is less concerned with Survivor things.
But Tony literally made the Miranda vote happen. I mean, not specifically Miranda, but if it wasn't for him, it would have been Swale.
And he came up with the idea on his own, like, and brought it to Swale, even though Swale was already thinking it. So, like, it shows that he's actively thinking about the game strategically. I think he handled all the conversations that he had during this challenge extremely well. Whether or not that was purposeful, who's to say? But
he might just be walking ass backwards into this. But he's there. So look, I'm all here for him too.
He's in the best position on his tribe. Like,
right.
I don't think he did any of this intentionally. I think Tony was just himself, and this got him in the position he's in. And now Tony's like happy with that, and he's like, okay, like I am where I am, and he's just gonna keep doing his thing and see where that brings him.
I think that's with a lot of people, though. I think just people's natural charisma and their like chillness are bringing them through. You see that with Emily, with Tony, with Susan. That's how they've all sort of been able to get good positions in this game. Whereas people like Belle, who are freaking out all the time, just go home.
So I had a question that I wanted to pose to everyone here because I thought it'd be interesting. But I wanted to know your strategy if you were in this. Let's say all of us are on our other tribes. Like,
take my question. Which
one
that's
right. I'm a host too. I can.
All right, guys. Let's say you go to the University of Michigan.
Okay.
What are you gonna do?
No, listen. I just think it'd be interesting to think of just, what would you do in that situation?
Whose position am I in?
Like in the challenge, you mean?
That's a good point because...
All right, guys, quick question. Which are the better colors? Red, yellow, black, and white, or golden, blue, and white, I think.
It's maize and blue. It's so simple. You know
maize
this.
The corn. All right.
No.
So, all right.
Maize
if you were in the challenge, what position would you take?
In terms of like what to do?
Yeah. I do think Chris brings up something interesting, though, is who am I in the position of? Because I do think everyone has like a different, should I grab this or not based on what position they're in. But just in general, as like a tribe, what would you kind of consider if you didn't want to be going to tribal?
I think that, just putting emphasis on the group as a whole. I think Emily did that. I forget. I think someone else did it, but just like a lot of emphasis of like, oh yeah, we're a new team now and we're sticking together. Old tribes don't matter anymore. Like whoever does this is going home at the next tribal council. Like just putting a lot of emphasis on the group, because I personally would never take the necklace because that's just not who I am as a player. I don't want the spotlight on me. So yeah, no, I would never like go for it unless I knew that I was the next out.
Yeah, I don't think I would grab it either. Like, I don't know. I'm very
morals.
What? I
You actually have morals.
I do. Yeah. Like, I would feel really bad. I think I would just like smile at everyone and try to charm them to be my best friend. And I think I will use that time just to like bond with them and do icebreakers and do the whole RA thing. And
oh God, you're gonna make them like take it.
I don't want to be on Alex's tribe.
They're gonna be like, all right, do I go to tribal or do I do more icebreakers?
Icebreakers, always.
I would be grabbing the immunity necklace in that case.
to take me
to get out of it.
Please get me out of this.
I think a really good tactic, if you know that you're not grabbing the necklace yourself and you want to make sure your tribe doesn't go to tribal council and someone else does, I think you take your tribe and you get as far away from it. Yeah, and you push them somewhere else. No, you take them and you get as far away from it as possible. I think there was an issue with one of the tribes physically getting close to the
Face Squad said, let's put pressure and get
I wrote
close
this
to it.
down.
And no one gave a shit because why would it matter?
Wait, the transcript was, Faith, why don't we just stand as close to the idol as possible? And then they went and go there. And then Emily says, why did we do this again? Faith, I don't know.
Faith, lying to Emily again.
Yeah.
That is exactly what they want from you. They want you to grab it. There is no pressure that changes there. So I think you just turn your backs to it, get as far away as possible, leave yourself out of the situation, because one tribe, no matter what, is going to grab that. Prisoner's dilemma and all the other economics, whatever dilemmas that are out there, say that someone's going to do this. No one is stupid enough to not grab it at the last second. Everyone was saying in the 29th minute, we're all going to, someone's going to grab it. I think someone will grab it.
Arguably, Face Squad could have, if they wanted to, gotten rid of 3 ferocity. There was the numbers to do so.
Yep.
They just had like a meeting and we're like,
just take everyone away. Hey, just no one touch it.
I feel like that's so smart though. Like, because the farther you are, like, even if you decide last minute you want to, you have to sprint. And if you're faster, I'm gonna sprint there faster than you. So like, fuck you, right? But like, I think like taking them away and then like starting like a really interesting conversation or start exchanging numbers, like something that's gonna distract them from not like thinking about the necklace and being away. Because you're right, like the people who were close, like if they wanted to just like snatch it and then just like, LOL, I was here, whatever. So yeah, no, I agree with you, George.
And that's why Knock Me had an interesting strategy, King Knock Me, of bringing somebody else closer to the idol, getting Michael
and then scaring his own team.
And then scaring his own team.
Yeah, we have a lot of talks with queens, but this is king territory now.
No, King went home in the 2nd episode. What are you talking about? You might not remember him. Despite being 8 feet tall, very quiet.
I was like, when that guy get eliminated? I don't remember. Today watching the episode.
So I think another thing that we're not taking into account, we look at, okay, how does it feel strategically, blah blah blah, in the purest form of strategy. But then you have to put into place the personalities and how people interact. So someone like Tony might be more inclined to take it because they're more off-putting. Someone like an Alex Pascal who has a little less grace in the social aspect. Someone like Swale who info dumps and seems strange, or someone like Dylan who always comes off as, I want to get this person out. Those people taking it gives them that round of safety that they might not have had if they went. Like, they could have gone home if they didn't have it. Mm-hmm. And yes, it guarantees their tribe goes to tribal, but it guarantees they won't go home at their first tribal. And as you saw, all they needed was one tribal for Thomas to go home, for them to be like, Swally should stay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I was in like Tony's position or Swally's position, I would have ran right for it, honestly. If I knew that I was in like the worst position on my tribe, then I would have just grabbed it, because at least it gives me a whole like 2 more rounds before the next, like, I got a lot of time to figure out my shit before then. Like, but I know that like that just extends your timeline more to give you more time to figure your shit out. So like, yeah, if I was Tony, I would have gone for it 100%. But if I was Susan, or if I was, any queen on the block, then I would not have, because like, why would I? There's no reason.
Yeah, and you see it worked for like in Big Brother 19, Josh grabs the immunity in week 1, even though he's like a target, then everybody has to target each other, and he's able to fly on the radar, under the radar after that. So it does sort of make sense that like those people will have to start to target each other, so maybe you'll just be out of it and be able to survive further.
Yes, but I also think what Anders said about personality is really important, because like, was Swallow in a bad position? Yes. Should he have grabbed it? Yes. But Swallow is like a really noble dude, so I feel like from the beginning he was like, I'm a hero. I'm not.
Like, I am the underdog.
Yeah, like they told him you need to grab it. He was like, no, I'm a great, loyal, noble human being. I will not grab it. And it was just like, okay,
never.
Like, so I think personality plays a lot into that, because like Swallow should have grabbed that like completely, but he's too kind.
Because like, when I look at it from my perspective, if I were to play a Survivor game and I was given the option to earn immunity at a tribal, I might be more inclined to do so because.
Oh, but you're the guy who would be in the position to do so. Anders, you and I are the people. You and I are the types of people who would have been assholes enough and outspoken enough that like we would be like, bitches, I'm gonna go get my fucking immunity, asshole. And we'd walk right up to that pole and grab it proudly, and we would have walked away like this. But like these guys aren't dum dums like us.
Well, also, I don't think anyone's as off-putting as me and Abby. But
I'm
except for
likable.
Tony.
Thanks.
Look, I think that there are certain people that picking it would do nothing but hurt them. Kevel, I think it hurts him. Alex, Susan, basically most of ferocity. I think that it really is only useful for the people who cannot, in the beginning, get those holds of social power, like the Tonys and Swalleys. Because to George's credit, Swally didn't necessarily bring the girls to him. It was more they needed a third, and Thomas wasn't going to, stay with them when it came to Dylan versus
They
them.
knew Swally had an incentive to vote with them because the target was on his back. If he had said no to them, they could have just been like, okay, we're just going to vote for you then, bitch. Bye.
Plus, Thomas just showed that he's not loyal, so why would they work with him?
I think that's the key flaw here. Is like if Thomas was already planning on voting out his ally, take the necklace. Like there's no reason you shouldn't be doing that. You're not proving anything otherwise. You're gonna get rid of him anyways. That was the issue with like everybody from the old ferocity. Like if you are the one who is picking that necklace, your other person, like your other pair that's with you, is really target number one in most cases. But like if he is okay with that target number being the guy who he's gonna vote for anyways, just take the necklace. So yeah.
Another thing is that you see Thomas try to like manipulate Michael into taking the necklace, and then you see Michael be like, "Oh yeah, fuck Thomas" later on. So who knows how much Thomas messing up hurt him?
Yeah.
So let's talk. So Thomas is gone. We're down to 14 people, 3 tribes, and in the preview of the next episode, you see there's going to be some fallout. People are happy and crying. People are mad and crying. And I don't know if everyone caught this, but I said second place will go to tribal. So there's going to be 2 tribals in the next episode.
Right. Okay.
Really?
So there is 2 different tribals.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to do that game changer shit? No.
I was like, he cut this off very specifically.
Also, the last word in the episode was just like a fuck, like really quick. If you hear it, it's just someone going, "Oh, F." Like,
can you guess who it was?
I don't know. Who could it be?
Anyways, so 2 tribes going to tribal, 14 people. What do we think is going to happen? What do we assume? Like, obviously, you don't know, but based off what you know and what you believe, what do we think is going to happen? Who's going to lose? Who's going to go home?
Bay Squad is winning the challenge. That's my firm opinion. They have a strong tribe. They have Dawn, they have Knock Me, who have done well in both challenges. I think Emily and Faith both are questionable, but Taylor can do a puzzle probably.
Do no wrong.
Taylor can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Taylor's probably amazing at puzzles, okay? I bet she's really fucking good at them.
I think a lot of it depends what kind of challenge it is, though. Because, like, if it's a puzzle, Daniela and Shayna are really, really good at puzzles. So I think that tribe actually...
Where'd you hear Shayna was good at puzzles?
Wasn't she really good at that one puzzle? Well, Daniela's
Daniela's really good at puzzles, so...
They all struggled with that 10.
I think Mancato's has the best because, like, Dylan's very physical. Then Danielle's really good at puzzles. Solly's decent at things, and Shayna's
I'm sure he's good at stuff.
He has something. I don't know. I just want them to win.
Dylan runs marathons. Danielle has 3 majors. Shayna's a freshman.
3 majors.
Oh, Shayna's the queen. Excuse me.
But Faith is the one who talks like a freshman, according to Alex. So
What is it? What does it mean?
Freshman move to a junior.
God.
I'm surprised so many people found that so funny. I just thought it was like a throwaway line. People were like, "LOL." What does that even
It's
mean?
just so randomly pretentious.
It was very interesting. Yeah, coming from Alex, who already only has like one tone of speaking at all times. Like it was very like, what does a freshman speak?
What are you trying to say, huh?
It means you use the word like a lot.
Can't relate. I just talk like
Okay,
Gabe Trash all the
so
time.
Chris thinks Base Squad's going to continue their win streak as they've done all game.
I think Mankato's gonna win. I'm just throwing it out there.
You want Mankato.
When you stand hard.
The
Okay?
power of Stan.
The power of stand will get me through. I feel like my girl Taylor's in a good enough spot. I wouldn't be upset if they lose. I'm like, she might be okay.
Wow.
I think that Base Squad will probably win, but I'm ready for them to lose because I just want to see Don in a tribal council situation.
I
Because
want some knock me content.
I also want yes.
Yes, good point.
I just think that it'd be very interesting, and I really want to see how Emily and Faith deal with this situation because they are the true underdogs of all of this in terms of like they've been on the wrong side of not only having to go to tribal council, but then also when they have gone to tribal council, they've messed up and then lied to each other about said tribal council. So really, this just all underdog everywhere. So yeah, I want to know what's going on with them.
Wait.
But I think Base Squad again, they're pretty tough.
What do you mean? Is Swallow not the underdog?
He said he's the underdog.
True, he did say that.
Guys, I don't know how much more obvious I could put the edit except the underdog.
Oh, I loved the super duper triumphant music. The incredibly triumphant music when Suicide Squad was being formed. There's just like trumpets blaring.
I was like, yes, agree.
So I want Nakado to win, but I think Ferocity has the most well-rounded players overall.
Yeah, maybe.
Like Susan's really good at basically everything. Alex is really good at basically everything. Kevel has been really good at most things as well. Tony, I think Tony's Tony. I don't know. Tony, if it's a peeing challenge, they definitely are going to win. And then I think
Tony can sit out.
The rated R Survivor.
R NC-17.
Yeah.
And I don't think Michael has been bad. He's been.
Has Michael participated in challenges?
Yeah, he helped out in the
solve the
third
puzzle?
challenge. He went, wait, we misspelled the words and then moved them around.
Wow.
See, Michael's really good.
Go,
at
Michael.
He's good at spelling.
Great.
And Shane is good at yelling out Michael's name when he's not the caller. Michael, I mean, knock me. Okay, so here's a just quick aside. Do we think Knock Me is purposefully being left purple, or that why do we think that Knock Me has been not involved at all?
Because he hasn't talked to anyone.
Yeah, I'm thinking he just doesn't speak to other people. Like, I mean, maybe in the real life, like I hope he speaks to other humans.
Maybe
But, like-
Anders really hates Knock Me.
Ooh, there could be a grudge. That's true.
I think he did something and you don't like him and he doesn't have because for someone who says they're really loud, they've been purposely had 0 confessionals, and I think at the beginning of the game he should have made one at least. Like maybe after he's like, oh, I don't want to do this, but the first time everyone has to have sat down and made one because you just signed up and you're excited. So I think he did something really, really messed up that is really amazing. Maybe he quits. I don't know. He did something really messed up, and that's what I'm sticking with. Like,
he killed someone on the other tribe. And
he kills Taylor, who was the fan favorite. Like,
I
That's
think
why
that,
they get all this triumphant music. I'm like, Rick.
Yeah, I think that how Tina Wesson wasn't in the first episode of Survivor Australia because they wanted to hide the winner. I think that Knock Me's not in the first 5 episodes of Survivor Maryland.
Wow.
Because he's gonna be the winner. Hey,
Right.
people said Terry was invisible. Newsflash, welcome to the new Survivor generation. We give fewer moments to our winners.
It could also be like when I was filming my season, there was some people that just like never either wanted to, come to a confessional or had other things they were doing. So maybe he's very busy. Or maybe he doesn't care about the game.
Or he's Danny Boatwright and he doesn't trust production not to meddle, so he's hiding his strategy from the cameras. Like, there's so many possibilities.
Wow, the layers, man.
I can
Those people are the
guarantee
worst.
in the future you will see Knock Me at a tribal council at least once.
Wow.
You have to.
Whoa.
It has to happen.
So he doesn't
Where he quit.
So he doesn't quit. Yeah, we figured it out.
Oh no,
All right.
no! They can quit. I make them quit at tribal councils if they ever do.
Okay.
I would never do
Quit.
the pussy
Quit.
shit of nope, they're gone. No, they come there and I shame them.
So I mean,
Right.
okay. So if Anders is saying that he shames them, it means that it happened at some point.
Right.
None of the things
Right.
Nakmi quits. Period.
Not
I
me
love
quits.
it.
You heard it here first.
Why was that at first?
No, you heard it
No.
here first. Not winning.
You know, wait until he goes out, Chris, and I'll send you a million texts being like, "Oh wow."
I'll just be crying in my
It was photoshopped. He never left. The torch never actually got snuffed. He's still in the game.
Yeah. Him and Meredith,
So-
final two.
So okay, we've said who we think will win. Who is going out next?
Knock me.
Yeah. I mean, just going through each tribe really quickly, who I think is going to go. I think that I'm going to say Michael goes from Ferocity, Knock Me goes from Base Squad, and Shayna goes from Mankata.
Wow, don't talk about Shayna.
Wow, these are hot takes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why Michael? We don't have to talk about Knock Me. I think we've found on that. Why Knock Me?
We
We
think
don't
David's
have
all
to
the
talk about him.
arguments.
The show doesn't have to talk about him.
Rock bottom, more like knock bottom.
Oh, zing!
Ooh.
Okay,
And then why Shayna?
so my theory
Why do you hate
is-
queens? Why do you
I
hate
just
women?
I just hate them. My theory was just in my head really quickly that Alex and Kevlar are sticking together. Tony is sort of a wild card. Apparently, isn't super fond of Susan, and Alex has a fake idol. So all of those things going together make it so that Tony can just be like, okay, let's get rid of Michael, and that'll be like a sort of agreeable vote for the three of them, and that's what's going to happen. Knock Me, I just think everybody else is going to come together and vote him off. And then Shayna is the one I'm least confident in, but I just see her getting idled out over Daniela. Boom, done. You don't even have to watch the next episode.
You already seen it here first.
I do think that either Don or Knock Me might be going on Base Squad because of the relationship Taylor might start making with Emily and Faith, for sure. Hopefully it's not Knock Me. Hopefully we get that winner, but I think it might be him. Ferocity. I don't think it's gonna be Michael. I think Susan will have too much social capital with others to for him. It wouldn't be him going. If anyone between the two of them, I would think that Susan might get taken out because she's a bigger threat. But I think that, God, I don't know. I might say Susan. I might say Susan's going. I don't want that.
Wow.
But I think
wow.
she,
Talk about hottest take.
just
Man, hot take.
just scorching hot. And then
So far you've said the two team captains.
right.
Let me guess, Dylan for Mankato.
Right. I don't know.
I mean, maybe.
I don't see Dylan going, not only because of the idol, but I feel like Dylan's the kind of guy that might even tell people he has the idol, like, don't vote for me. I got this baby. And then he might, pull some shenanigans by not playing it. But I don't see him going. But yeah, I hope it's not Daniela. So I'd say Shayna.
It's not going to be Daniela.
Yeah.
And it can't be the underdog because he's the underdog. Underdogs always win in the end.
Do you want to go next, Abby?
Sure. I mean, I guess I agree with the Michael hot take. That was pretty scorching hot, Chris. You sold me on that. And I really do think Knock Me is a dead man walking on that tribe unless Don really fucks himself over and talks too much. I think my scorching hot take I could see Faith on Base Squad fucking herself up because I think she is really bad at keeping her story straight. Is kind of has the tendency at Tribal Council to say everything she's ever thought in the whole game. And I could see Faith making a big ass mess for herself really quickly. That's going to be my scorching hot take.
Okay. I actually was gonna say Faith too because I think Nakmi's gonna quit at a point where it's gonna be really, really bad, and that's why there's so much hatred. And I also think Faith is not the best player. I just think it's gonna be Faith, and then maybe nag me quits or something. From Ferocity, I don't think they're gonna like. I'm sold in this. Like, I'm sorry. From Ferocity, I think actually it's gonna be Tony. Like, I think there's gonna be something weird, and Tony's gonna somehow end going, even though he wasn't the best position, because it's Tony, and it'll be the perfect ending to his story to like finally be in a great position and fuck it up for himself and go out. Like, it'll be like perfect. I don't want him to go though.
Tony is literally the most safe person in this game. Like, looking at everyone, like, he's the person I see least going home.
How did it get to that? How did it get to that? How did this season get to Tony being the safest?
He
Tony's
deserves it.
mastermind.
Does
He has abilities.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Alex. What is your
No,
last
you're fine.
take?
And Shayna. I think Shayna's gonna get idled out too.
Wow.
Mhm.
No one thinks it's going to be Dylan. No one thinks it's going to be Swally. It's got to be a woman, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Rip
All right.
Swally.
So I asked this question after the premiere, and I think every answer was Alex.
Mhm.
So now that we are 5 episodes in, who do we think is going to win? Do we think it's still going to be Alex? Do we think it's going to be Nakami? Where is it? Tony?
Oh, please, please.
I think that it's become sort of clear that Alex isn't the player she was hyped up to be in the premiere. I would say that it is hard to call, but I would put my money on Daniela at this moment. I think that the fact that she was targeting Dylan, but Dylan was very secure about Daniela, like, spoke volumes to me about her being able to reach out to everybody and having good social awareness. So, Daniela.
Good take. I would probably second that, but you know what? I'm gonna go with Emily here. I think honestly, Emily is the most genuine person on this cast in terms of her talking about herself crying, like, just because that's what she does, and her being upset about the fact that she cries, like, that was like really genuine. I think like she can probably come off like that to other people. I think Daniela is also phenomenal in terms of just like talking with people. Every time she has a conversation with someone, I'm like engaged. I'm like, oh wow, this seems like super genuine. But I don't know. I think Emily's got a good story here. Trying to read into the edit a little bit. But no, I definitely think, it could be Meredith too. You never know.
Yeah.
She could come back. We never know. So
Yeah.
Oh, Abby's internet went out.
I was like,
wow.
wow.
Okay, I'll play the part of her.
quiet.
I think it's one of the queens. I think that either Shayna or Dan.
So she
You'll
sent
probably
the
say
message.
Susan.
She said it would be Susan. She's had that fixed since day one. No, that's what she said. She sent the message. I'm not here. I'll be Abby. Well, I think it's. I don't know how to say it.
Whoa!
Wow.
She knows how to. She thinks it's Susan. She's explained it very well so far. I think she said it like she thinks Susan is very aware of it, very socially capable. Blah blah blah. She likes Susan. She's a queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, episode 1, I picked Alex as my winner. Abby picked Susan as her winner.
Oh, she's back. Abby,
she's
do you
back.
want to explain why Susan?
Hi. So I picked Susan as my winner from day one because I thought she has a really good social game where nobody wants to vote her out. And I think she's maintained that. And I think even though she might not be in the best position on her tribe right now, I have faith in the Susan to pull through.
Wait, you have faith? I thought you had Susan.
I have no faith in faith.
Low
honey.
hanging fruit. Just
Yeah, I made that joke too many times. There were 2 jokes that kept happening, and they weren't funny after the first time. It was using Faith's name when you meant just the word Faith, and New Beginnings. While I said it once, it was funny, and then other people tried, and I cut it out. It's not funny anymore.
So it's funny that you guys said those, because like my first choice was going to be Daniela, and then I was like, well, Emily. Then George picked Emily, and then I was like, well, Susan. Abby picked Susan. So I guess my 4th choice, I'm going to say Dawn. I think Dawn has had a really interesting edit as well.
Wait, you're picking Amanda Wynn? Ew.
Yes.
wow.
I'm rooting for mostly the guys. I'm sorry. I'm not in the queen board yet.
I can't believe that you're a men's rights activist, Alex.
I hate you. We're gonna start like hating me on Twitter.
Wow, you hate a woman? Surprise.
Oh,
Surprise.
You heard it here first. Alex hates anything where women succeed. He hated this episode. No women making a choice about who goes home. Boo!
I'm about to do my job search. When I don't get a job after this, I'll be like, thanks.
There's one time on this Survivor podcast you mentioned hating the queens. I don't know what that is. But...
You hate all women? Oh, you can't work at this university. No, but for real, I think Don has played a really good. He's really solid. He's really I feel like he's really humble and he's not doing too much in terms of strategy like a lot of the other people who are very involved with things, in my opinion. Yeah. And I also want him to win. So bias.
Cool, dude. Yeah. I'm rooting for him.
Thank you.
I'm glad. I like 4 different choices. No one said Alex. We'll see how it works out.
That's a boring choice.
I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Anders, who do you think?
Who do I think?
What's your pick?
Personally, I mean, it's gonna be not green. It has to be. There's a reason he hasn't said anything. It's an Edgic thing. I don't want him to come off as someone who doesn't know what's going on. Because
40 chess over here.
He's really all his confessionals are too complex. But don't worry. Once only him and one other person are on screen, maybe you'll finally get to hear a confessional. Yeah. Maybe.
Once it's just him and Michael.
Once it's just him, Michael, and Tony in the final 3.
Tony's the winner of my heart.
Yes.
Oh, Abby.
The tiebreaker between Tony and anyone else is it's a chugging contest.
Oh, wow.
Go, Tony. Finally.
Yeah. Okay. So, does anyone have any final thoughts? Wait, hold on. Hi, I'm Tommy Lar, and these are my final thoughts. All right, what are your final thoughts, everyone?
None.
Okay.
Wow. I hate it.
So it's so smart. So well spoken. All right.
Yeah.
No, I'll say. I think this season has a very strong female cast, and that's not me just saying that in terms of just I hate men because that's the whole podcast today. I actually truly think we have some really good the meme of a queen on shows like this is it's used. But we really do have some strong Shayna, Daniela, Susan, Emily, sometimes Alex. Okay, now I'm getting but most of them.
They're all queen.
All the loyal followers are men this season. All of the women are independent thinkers, and I think that is what's showing through.
Yeah, except Tony, who is a thinker.
Yeah, not all the men are followers, but just Kevel,
Tony's a revolutionary thinker.
Right.
Matt, I don't know.
Yeah,
Swale, eternal underdog. How dare you?
How dare you? No follower there.
No, I actually agree. I know I've been pro rooting mostly for dudes, but I do think the girls are a much stronger cast. They're definitely playing a lot harder, or not a lot harder, a lot smarter. And I would be surprised if a guy that is not Don wins. Just because I said it. And it's been awesome, and thank you for inviting us.
Really yeah.
Oh, wow.
You don't get points back, you men's right.
Yeah, nice damage control.
Next time, let me know so I can wear a I love women shirt.
Wow, projecting much.
Yeah.
Well, I have to agree. I'm excited to see the arcs of the really true reigning queens. I'm glad that everybody who I thought was a queen in episode 1 has truly delivered. I mean, thank you. You're doing wonderful. The queens. And Anders, I guess he's editing it. He's putting them in the edit.
And him. But he's a man, so
I'm just it doesn't matter. My favorite part was when they ate cold pizza in the first episode. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I can say the rest of the season will be a journey. I'm excited. Don't get too attached to everyone. They won't all be there in the end.
Wow.
Spoilies.
I'm so excited for the new middle.
But before we go, I want to thank my 4 beautiful guests for tonight. I know it's late for some of them. It's not for me because LA. But for you,
LA.
For people on the East and other coasts, I guess not really a coast, other time zones, Thank you so much for staying up. So before we go, I will give you an opportunity to plug whatever you want, as long as it doesn't suck.
Whoa.
So George,
Ooh.
go ahead.
Wow, just transition to me after you say it doesn't suck. I see.
No, I'm saying if it doesn't suck, you can plug it.
Okay, all right. Well, this doesn't suck. Survivor Michigan is what I'm editing right now, and it's gonna have its 5th episode this Friday. We premiere on Fridays. I knew that Maryland was gonna do Monday, so I pushed it at the end of the week so we didn't get anybody confused. But apparently online, everybody is still confused about like there's
Guys,
so
remember, Survivor Michigan, it doesn't suck.
There you go. That is
I
our
do want to say
tagline.
this. I do want to say this because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I have to choose one. One is better than the other." As someone who makes them and watches them, you can watch every single fan made in its own right. They're not comparing each other. You know, we all exist on YouTube. We will continue to exist whether or not you watch it. And they're all going to be varying degrees of what you like and what you don't. But even though Michigan is not Maryland, I will still watch it and support it. Will I be thinking mine is better? Of course. But I
Right.
do say this to anyone who likes Maryland. You will like Michigan. You will like Boston. You will like Time and Change. You will like any of the other ones that I didn't mention because I don't know they exist. Please send me those videos. But seriously, you can watch Michigan and Maryland and not say one is better and then only watch that.
Yeah, I didn't come on here for a smear campaign. Like I support you guys just as much as my own show.
But if you had to choose one,
oh god, like you know, fine, Michigan's out. I'm a full Maryland believer. Let's go.
All right, yeah, but catch Michigan.
Power of Taylor's
Gun lowers from George's head.
Yeah, block out these M's in the background that I just have casually here.
Oh, hold on, I'll be right. Okay, Abby, do you want to plug something?
Yeah, sure. So if you're not doing anything on Thursday nights, you can watch my show that I'm editing. Oh, it's all me. No, it's not. Really, but a small part of it. X on the Beach season 2 on MTV Thursdays at 9:00 Pacific, 9:00 whatever time zone, and 8 p.m. Central. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Abby Zinger with a Z. Because I'm so witty.
Alex, you go next.
I don't even remember my Twitter handle, so I have nothing. I have Twitter, and it's funny, but I don't remember. But send me messages about how much I hate women.
Yeah, if you think that hating women is bad, please stop him.
You forgot your Twitter handle. Okay, yeah.
I'm doing a job search.
Alex MRA.
My thing that I'd like to plug is my resume.
Please hire me. I'm a great hall director. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd like to plug Survivor Maryland episode 6 coming this time.
Coming next week.
I'm just trying to get the invite back,
All right. Well,
somebody just followed me on Twitter. If it's somebody watching, you're my favorite.
Random person they didn't even know. So once again, thank you so much, Alex, Abby, Chris, and George. It's a pleasure to see you all and to hear your opinions, even though they're all wrong and mine is right. And thank you so much, everyone who watched and who's watching the season. I really appreciate it. It makes all this hard work worth it. And I'm super excited to see how it ends and see how people react because I've loved it all, and I know the players have too. And we love hot takes. So that's all for tonight. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe.
Check out my
Smash
Patreon.
that like button. Ka-chow. All right. But thank you so much, guys. Good night. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.